Welcome to the Fight for Your Health show. I am Richard Hackworth, your co-host here with Professor Buitron, and we have a special guest today, Grandmaster Jason Mix, and I'm sure this is going to be a very interesting interview for our viewers. We welcome you all to the show, and Grandmaster Mix, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
So, Professor Buitron, if you would lead us in.
Sure. Grandmaster Mix is an expert in Hapkido and as well as Grandmaster Hackworth, and but we're going to touch base a little bit on the health benefits that you find in Hapkido, and what do you see when people start training? When do you start seeing them being inspired into more health? Is it in the intermediate ranks, the beginning ranks, or is it more of the advanced? Or when do you see that?
Well, I noticed there's kind of different levels. So I've been lucky enough to be teaching now for about 36 years, and some of our students have been with us for that entire time. And I definitely see right about 6 months tends to be where people seem to really get a joy in their practice. But I notice also around 3 years and 5 years and 10 years. I recently had about 6 people who got the 20-year mark, and that seemed to be really exciting to see them still improving. So I think any amount of time will benefit you from doing martial arts, but the more time in the better the results.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
So now on a personal question there, what health benefits have you specifically experienced that you like to share with your students?
Well, I started, like many of us, in Taekwondo and Tai Chi. And then when I was 19, I was in a car accident. And coming back from that, I noticed that my martial arts were different. And people kept saying, it doesn't look like Taekwondo the same way. And I had learned some Hapkido as part of my Taekwondo. And I noticed that change happened. I started to look for more and more Hapkido teachers. And that allowed me to work better and better in my health. And I found myself able to do things that I could never do before. Also in my family, my mother has congenital knee defects, and through her practice, she was able to overcome more difficulties than anyone with her trouble they had seen before. So we had a variety of things with knees and backs, and health became a primary focus for us.
Absolutely. Do you see more the need? Because of course, Hapkido too is a manipulative art, and like kind of similar to that of Jiu-Jitsu in Japan, if you want to put it that way. And but in Hapkido, do you tend to see a lot more healing type mechanisms going throughout the martial arts as you see that in China?
Definitely. So I did, as I mentioned, study Tai Chi Chuan as well, and I think they complement each other very well. The healing techniques from my teacher, Grandmaster Kwang Sik Myung, went very well with my teacher from Tai Chi Chuan, Lama Pema Yantan Gyatso. And yes, I think they're definitely complementary. A lot of similarities. I was most fascinated with the things that kind of cross disciplines. I also had a chance to study with Toyota Sensei, and he did body work and Zen meditation as well. And the things that were in common between the three really inspired me to continue my practice.
Absolutely. Do you think this is a question? Me coming from the Occidental arts of Savat, do you see more similarities to the Japanese arts of Jiu-Jitsu, or more towards the Chinese arts of Chin Na with your Hapkido?
I definitely see a strong connection to Daitoryu, Aiki Jiu-Jitsu. I've had a chance to study with several people who practice those as well. But I do think that there's a really strong connection also with Pakwa-chan. So particularly, but Xingyi, Pakwa, and Tai Chi have had a strong influence. And like I said, I'm really fascinated with the things that kind of connect the three, the Chinese arts, the Japanese arts, and the Korean arts, as well as some of the Central Asian arts. I grew up next to a Tibetan Dharma center and got to work with them on some of their yogas and dancing. And it was really fascinating to me how many movements were similar.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can kind of find a family tree kind of, and a lot of people do not. And it's great to see grandmasters saying this, because there's a lot of people out there that say it doesn't exist, and it exists it's right in front of us every day.
Definitely.
Well, I've been really looking forward to this interview. I have a couple of very specific questions that I haven't had a chance to ask you yet. But first, I'd like for you to tell us a little bit about the book that you co-authored, because Open Circle Way, Kiwan Hapkido on Amazon, I noticed that it mentions that it's a book about martial arts and healing. And yesterday, I ordered my own copy, so I'll be posting a review soon, and I'm looking forward to that. But could you tell us about some of the healing aspects that you share in the book?
Definitely. So I think there's several different levels that you guys have touched on in several of your shows. Very much an honor to be here. Thank you. I've enjoyed them a lot. The healing arts in Hapkido, for us, it's been a way to integrate, to bring our mental, physical, and spiritual health all together in one discipline. In Kiwan Hapkido is based on Yang Mukwan Hapkido from Grandmaster Kwang Sik Myung. He helped us to develop our system with our family, and we wanted it to be true on all levels. I think when I started, I was really interested in the physical fitness and sport aspect. I became much more interested over time in the martial aspect, and then in more of the mental health aspect. And so in the book, we tried to present a system that leads you through all the tools you need to move into wherever you want to focus. And so,
could you give us a brief definition of what Kiwan means for our viewers?
Yeah, definitely. Kiwan means energy circle, and it has that idea of an open circle. So that it includes everyone, but at the same time is complete.
Understood.
Thank you.
Understood.
Now,
You know,
my next specific question was, for someone that's beginning martial arts, what 3 suggestions would you give someone that's brand new to the martial arts that would help them improve their health through their training?
Definitely. I think one of the biggest things is finding joy in your art, finding the right teacher and the right school. So when you look for a school, look for a place where you feel joy in your practice. You will work out twice as hard, and it keeps you motivated as you're moving. The other is places that question. So where it's okay to ask questions and okay to kind of explore what it is that's going on in the art. And third, I think realizing that the mental health will make the physical health work better as well. So one of the neat things that we really try to focus on here is that the fight or flight response is balanced by the relaxation response, and how do we produce peak performance. And the traditional martial arts, I have an amazing intricate system of doing that, how to produce peak performance. And yeah, look for a place where you see joyful people working hard and doing things that inspire you.
absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And that's exactly what people need to look for. They need to stop looking for a fad and start looking for the place where they enjoy to be at.
Yep.
Now, in addition to that, when COVID first hit real hard, I noticed an increased awareness and desire in the general public of people that were asking me about training in the benefits of the breathing exercises. And have you noticed any particular benefits that beginner students get from practicing the daily habit of Tanjun Ho-Hop breathing in Hapkido?
Definitely. Tanjong breathing and breathing altogether, I think, is one of the most powerful tools that we have in the martial arts. I like to tell people about how it connects your conscious and your subconscious. So it becomes a doorway into controlling many of the things in our life that generally function in a subconscious way. But because breathing, we can consciously change it. And then if we don't consciously affect it, it still continues. It becomes that doorway into being able to control many different subconscious processes. During COVID, we had a lot of increased desire for martial arts, and then a lot of restrictions that made it difficult to practice. We were lucky here. We have outdoor facilities that are covered and heated. So we were able to keep that going in person, and then also to do over the internet classes. And I noticed that people doing more of the Tanjong breathing actually got significantly more benefit out of the other practice that we do. So yes, I think it helps you to feel healthy. It helps to stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system and balance the sympathetic nervous system so that we produce that peak performance, but also helps us move out of that crisis mode that COVID put a lot of us into, and helped us to proceed with good judgment and clarity in our daily life.
You're correct. You know, when COVID first hit, you started feeling the environment outside. People were very tense. People were very agitated, and those that continue training, you know, we're in Texas, we're a little bit different, but we were opened a lot sooner, but still the fear was there. And to the day, the fear is still there. But
Yep.
those that come to class are the ones that you see them with a little bit more confidence in the stride of everyday life, you know, and you see that dramatic.
Definitely. Being able to have a daily practice and a practice community, those two things make such a difference. And Tanjong breathing, it was really fascinating to watch how people, when we couldn't do the joint manipulations, when we couldn't do the interactive exercises that we're used to, watching people over the internet and then in classes outdoors here synchronize their breathing so that they are breathing together, brought a lot of the benefits that I didn't realize could be had just from breathing in harmony.
You make a few excellent points there. And one of the things you mentioned earlier was about community. And I know that you've been very instrumental in helping to develop an international community of like-minded Hapkido instructors and students. And you actually have an online group that you meet for training internationally. And can you tell us a little bit about how that's gone, and what was the inspiration for creating the international community?
Yeah, my teacher, I've had several teachers, but my main teacher was Kwang Sik Myung. And when he was later in life, really encouraged me to connect with the different schools around the world. And after he passed, several of them reached out to me. One in particular, Grandmaster Demid Momo in Russia, invited me to come to international competition there, and also Grandmaster Mladen Kuznik to another one in Croatia. And our group is largely based on personal relationships. Part of what I love what you're doing here is making a connection with people, like-minded people, as you mentioned. And, you know, I think that's much more important than our martial arts looking alike. if we have a similar aspiration towards martial arts and health, if we have a similar aspiration to people with integrity, working honestly together, that we can do some amazing things. So, for instance, today I'll be working with some people in Belgium and some people in Italy. But we have people last week I've been talking to from Wittenberg, Germany, all the way to many different places, Brugge, Belgium, and Bergamo, Italy, with the primary ones this week. But yeah, I think it's been really inspirational because we started the online classes. It's allowed us to be able to work with people in a way that I couldn't before. My students who had moved away over the years have also come back to our online classes. So that's allowed us to continue practicing during COVID.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I agree with you. And I agree with everything that you say, that you have to build a community of like-minded people. You know, and you've been to Europe. When I lived in Europe, and when I used to teach in Savat in Europe, and I expect that there was kind of like the PAL system for the police here, but over there was a postal system. So it was the postal workers that had these recreation centers, which is
Interesting.
I expect there, right? So in my particular club, you know, you had Tang Soo Do, you had kickboxing, you had Thai boxing, of course, you had Savat Boxan Says, you had judo, you had a Turkish martial art, Gata, and everybody helped each other when there was an event. You know, there was an event, there were fighters from Savat fighting in the ring on Saturday. Well, guess what? Everybody from that club will go support the people that were fighting. And you don't see that here. You don't see that that type of friendship. Everybody here is trying to compete or trying to hide their students from others not learning or something. It's a different feeling. So ever since I came down, I said, you know, this is the way the school that has to be, and one should not be ashamed, or I wouldn't say the word ashamed of trying to use it, but one should not hide their students. You know, bring in seminars, bring in workshops to your school. Make sure that your student is well-rounded, or at least knows what other martial arts look like before they go out in the real world. You know,
I
and so
definitely agree.
you can learn from everything. You know, you in the sense of self-defense, you don't want them to ever see something for the first time in the street anyway.
Yes. Yeah, no, I totally agree. My one of my teachers, James R. Garrison, he really said to me, he said, you want to find the best teachers. Doesn't matter what the art is, find the best teachers and train with them. And I was working with him in my early 20s, and it really inspired me to search out teachers from different arts and find out what there was to learn out there. One of the things I love Hapkido is that I think it gives us groundwork, some foundation to be able to work with people from Judo and Aikido and Jiu-Jitsu and Savat. I've only done a little bit with Savat, but it is a beautiful art. Comparing the Taekyon kicking to Savat kicking, we had a lot of fun. So yes, I definitely agree.
Absolutely.
Now, I've been a big admirer of the steps you've taken to help build this international community, and just very impressed with how open a lot of the people have been to doing this. And right now, I know there's a lot of people out there, maybe some of our viewers that are watching, that have never tried martial arts. And then there's a group of people who stopped when COVID started and have not returned to their training. What advice would you give to people in those two categories about doing something to get back involved, or to get involved for the first time?
Definitely. I think for those who haven't done martial arts before, realizing that right now, especially with so much of people living in this crisis mode of feeling like they are in constant conflict, that martial arts done properly should teach you how to benefit as much as possible from conflict. How do we, find harmony in the storm? How do you find that eye of the storm? And martial arts can help your mental health and physical health, and also this kind of community health of working together with people who maybe don't share your same political beliefs or but on the mat we can let go of all of that and we can work out together. And if you aren't in a position where you feel mentally healthy working out with people in person, find a place that like here we have a place you can work out outside in your own private mat, or find an online class. The benefits are different, but they are definitely there. So looking to find whatever benefits you can from a supportive martial arts community will definitely help you in learning to deal with conflict. For those that stopped and are looking to start again, I think the biggest barrier I've seen for those people is not to compare your new training with the training we had pre-COVID. I would like for it all to be just the same way as it was, but everything that I've stopped for a period of time and come back to, it never is exactly the same. Even if you had been in regular class, your practice would be different now. So looking at it for what it has to offer you new, looking at your practice as a way to grow and see your mind. One of my meditation teachers said adversity was such a gift because it showed you your mind. And taking that challenge to reintroduce your martial arts practice, and when there are obstacles, to face those obstacles in as positive a way as you can, and look for what your response is and try to understand why, so that you can grow from that experience. So that would be my advice to those two groups.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. It's a very insightful answer. And before Professor Buitron wraps up the show, I was wondering if you have any final advice that you would give to someone as far as maybe people who've done martial arts for years, getting back into it after COVID. What mindset or what habits do you think they should develop to be able to do it under the new guidelines and still feel connected to their art the way we always have?
I think it's a great question. I think the thing I would say is be hungry for martial arts knowledge. Use this opportunity to diversify your knowledge. Watch shows like you're producing. Take a second to look at some different arts and see what we have in common, see what's different, see how maybe your art would be particularly applicable when working with another art, or might need a little bit of reevaluation. This is an incredible time. A wealth of information is out there, and to really take advantage of that. And then the other thing I would say is that, community takes on many different forms. And as we progress in the art, it's always an uncomfortable stage as my black belts get to a certain level where I say, you need to start talking to other people. You need to start working with other people. And they're like, we're comfortable and happy in our dojo. And you want to go, it's important for you to be able to work with the community at large. So do your Tanjong breathing, be hungry for information, and find joy in your art.
No, I know I promised that was the final question, but I just wanted to share one thing that I know for you, martial arts isn't just a hobby, but it's also like a family tradition. And what could you say about that to encourage people to do it with their family?
If you can get your family to do it with you, do. I started with my parents when I was a child, and my wife and I have a blended family, and all of our children, our adult children, doing martial arts now. And the blessings and the joy of working all together are too many to count. It has helped us all to stay close and be able to get along and to stay healthy. Every day I have my son Matthew helps me with classes and teaches. He teaches several classes a day, and every day my parents are here on online classes working out with us. So being able to see 3 generations together. Before my grandmother passed away, she was in our Tai Chi classes. We had 4 generations working out at once. So if you can make it work, it is an amazing thing to do. So worth the effort.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. There's an old saying that I'll translate, and they say in Savat, you have a brother you just never met. So, that's the way I look at martial arts, It's around the world, you're gonna end up meeting a brother you just haven't met. That's just the way it is. He likes cars and you like motorcycles, and you guys are gonna live fine, and that's just the way life is in martial arts. And
Thank you so much.
We want to thank you for being on our show and continue doing what you're doing. Continue being a pillar in your community, because martial arts, like we've had the conversation before, martial arts schools, especially like yours, it's been around for a while, have really helped out way too many individuals that you've lost count on. And those schools cannot go away. And we've lost so many in the past 2 years because of this pandemic, that help kids that are now lawyers, that help kids that are now doctors, that help kids that are police officers. Way too many, and the communities have to kind of protect these schools, because these schools actually were the ones that built the good citizens of society. That's my opinion.
I definitely agree. Thank